Hope we've had a fantastic weekend and we're ready to kickstart this week into some serious productivity. So this week I wanted to do a series on how to get out of your week. So we've done a lot and spoken a lot around various elements of business, property, and lots of different things to implement or change or add into your business, the way you work, etc., to make sure that you're getting the most out of what you do, achieving results, and making sure that we're ultimately achieving the success that we want to achieve. But I thought it's very relevant that where we work from directly impacts the results we get, or indirectly impacts the results we get. So the workspace is today's topic. And so I wanted to do a series this week on how you can increase, improve, make the most out of where you're working from and where you're working in order to allow you to get the most out of what you're trying to achieve, the environment you're in, etc. So really, really crucial. And we're going to cover a topic each day as to what you can do or an area you can look at in the way that you operate currently, on how that hopefully you can move that forward and start making some tweaks and changes as we have over the last 12-18 months. So today's topic is workspace rather than a workplace. And I think this is very relevant because hopefully you'll agree that a lot of the working environments, the capacity in which businesses now allow their staff to work, whether that's time flexibility, location flexibility, it's changing all the time. And so it's very, very relevant now that it's not so much more about a workplace, a one set building that you have to go to work from. It's more about the workspace and the environment that you're around. And does that encourage you to be productive, or does that actually allow you to procrastinate and put things off and not get things done? So it's workspace rather than workplace. Now you might be thinking, why is this relevant? Because most buildings do have a workplace. We have a set place we need to go, but there is flexible working, etc., etc. That's just kind of common practice. Yes is the short answer. It is what you could class as common practice. However, what we've got to try and make sure is that we understand the difference between flexibility and what is promoting productivity. Because it's all well and good a company or a business or you yourself allowing yourself the flexibility to have maybe a day working from home or working from different offices, etc., etc. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you will be more productive just because you've done that. So it could reduce commute times, it could reduce allow you to spend more time with family, things like this, but does it actually make you more productive in what you're doing? So there is a fine line between it, and a lot of businesses now are looking at cutting down the working hours during the week. So I've seen a couple of studies recently that people are looking at having 32-hour working weeks rather than 40, 50, 60, etc. But also having systems in place so that flexible working allows people to work from anywhere and they can put themselves into an environment where they're going to be most productive. So a lot of people say that they work from home, but actually, do we work from home as much as we should or we could? Or is it a case of that we're telling ourselves that we're working from home and really we're just having a bit of a lazy day lounging around the house? So workspace is somewhere that encourages and promotes you to get whatever it is done that you need to get done. So let's say, for example, that you have an office and you go into that office every day and there's piles of paperwork, or there is meeting boards and notices on the wall. You come in and you've got somebody's left you a sticky note that says, oh, I need this, or can you send this information to this person? And you're forever surrounded by what I'd say or describe as noise. Because if you leave the day and there's a pile of paperwork, when you come in the next day, the first thing that you see on your desk is all of that paperwork. So straight away, it puts those noise in your mind because whatever it was that you were going to do, you've just been reminded that you've got this pile of paperwork to get through. The other side of it is if you've got people putting notices or messages, or you open your emails from day one, so from moment one when you get in at the beginning of the day, then you get lots of noise coming into the rest of your morning. And whether you want it to or not, it will affect the way that you then start taking action, starting getting things done. So the workspace that you're in is very, very important. If it's very cluttered, and I'm probably one of the worst individuals for organisation and paperwork and getting things in a coordinated manner, but instead of doing it myself, I outsource that, and I've had people help me get things in order so that I'm not constantly surrounded by noise, mess, paperwork, etc. It's still work in progress, however, it allows me to think clearly, because when I go and work from either home or somewhere else, I'm not surrounded by all of that noise of, oh, I still need to do that, I still need to do that, I still need to do that. And it actually allows you to focus a little bit more. So if you're one of those individuals that, say, your workspace is just piles of paperwork, or it's piles of stuff, or your desk is a bit of a dumping ground, then you've got to ask yourself the question, is this making me productive, or am I actually just fooling myself into thinking that what I'm doing is helping me move forward, achieve goals, etc., etc., and are you actually getting anything done? So you need to start to understand what it is that makes you work best, or what makes you tick best. So if you like lots of background noise, it might be that working from somewhere like a coffee shop or a hot desking facility, or somewhere that's a little bit more public, not necessarily for you to interact with people, but it's just background noise. It allows you to just settle into that comfortable zone and carry out your work and get stuff done. It could be that you need the complete opposite. You need complete silence. You need to really focus in on what you're doing. And it might be that you go to a local library. It could be some hot desking spaces that have meeting rooms, and you can book a meeting room out for the whole day, so it's just you in the zone. It could be that actually you work well from home and you simply lock the office door, the study door, dining room door, whatever it is, and all technology or anything other than what you need is not in there with you, and you just absolutely knuckle down, focus, and get everything that you need to be done in that time period or in that day done. It's just finding out what works best for you. And what you should look at doing is, when you're setting this environment, ask yourself why that environment helps you to do it. So for example, the other day I had a tight deadline to get a load of stuff done. So what did I do? I took myself to an environment whereby there was a closing time. And so I knew that I needed to get all of the stuff that I'd planned out for that day done, one, before it closed, and two, before ultimately the end of the day, and I could not put it off. So I put myself in an environment and a workspace that promoted and pushed me to get everything done by a certain period or certain time period, because then the place would shut and it'd be locked, so obviously I'd have to leave, but then also I've got a commute thereafter, so there would be a good 30-minute gap between me finishing and having to leave and being able to pick that back up and start again, which, as most of you all know, you will lose momentum, you will start to think of other things that you need to get done, and it breaks the working cycle. So that workspace allowed me to really knuckle down and get what I needed to do done. So had I been in an office, or were you sat in an environment that there was no time limit and you could stay till the end, well, you would be dragging that out, and you would probably take a lot longer than normal, or that you should, if you were to go to somewhere that had that restriction. So it's really about thinking and revamping where it is you're working and how that's encouraging you to be more productive. So one of the biggest things that we can look at here is, once we've understood how we work best, is then where is that environment and where can I move to allow me to work better in that capacity. So think about things that are local to you. It doesn't have to be really far away. A lot of places we can go are free, and are they going to support you working to the maximum that you possibly can? So if you have a job and you're working in a workplace, that's absolutely fine, but are there areas or environments within that workplace that suit you better? So is there a meeting room or a boardroom where you can get away from everybody, work from a laptop and really sit there and focus? Is there a more of a social area that you can sit and work from and is a little bit more public, but that allows you to put some maybe internal pressures on yourself to make yourself move forwards and work really hard to achieve what you need to achieve in that time frame or within the day that you've set yourself to get things done. So it's about maximizing where you are. Don't just feel that you have to sit at a desk all day, every day, because that's what we've always done. It's about finding those areas or those environments where we're most productive, and it's the best space for you to work from rather than one that you feel you need to. So it's about really understanding where that productivity is being created and helping you to get everything you need done. So something you can do on this to work out where your best workspace is monitor when you're working how much you get done in a certain time period. So for example, we use a piece of software called Time Doctor, and Time Doctor allows us to record how long it takes us to do individual tasks. So we can clearly see that if, for example, we've got a load of admin to do, how long it takes us by simply clicking start and clicking finish at the end of that task. So it records exactly how long it took us. Now, if we procrastinate during that moment, during that task, it will take a lot longer, and that will be reflected in what that time record looks like. So using Time Doctor is really, really useful because you can see, okay, I'm sat in a coffee shop and I'm doing a update on our website, whatever that may look like. Start the timer, realise that you've got a deadline because that coffee shop shuts at a certain time, and then when you're done and finished, you can see how long that took. And then you could do maybe the same again in a different environment, and is there a difference? And do you get things done quicker and faster and with the same level of accuracy in certain environments? And you just start to tweak, change, adapt, work out, okay, how many distractions did I get when I was sat at home? Did I just get up, make myself a cup of coffee every half an hour? And then once I've done that, did I then open some emails intermittently? Did I also make a couple of calls? And actually, did I put lots of interference in and around my tasks because I was in my home environment rather than a kind of a working workspace? And so just start to tweak and adapt on what it is that you can use or do to find where your best working space is. And that could be 2 minutes down the road in a coffee shop, or somewhere that's allows you to rent some space for a very relatively low cost. And it's just working out what that looks like and how you can then maximize that moving forwards. So top tip for today is do some time recording against all of your tasks. So again, we use Time Doctor. There are alternatives. So there is a monthly subscription for Time Doctor. So there are alternatives that are free for a certain period or a certain number of users. So do look into those and start to log and check how productive you are working in different environments. And what you might find is that certain environments promote you to be more productive. Other environments are not so don't promote productivity so much. So you've got to just make sure that you're monitoring, looking, reviewing, watching, and understanding that you're putting yourself in an environment that promotes you to be more productive, and time logging against that will allow you to see, okay, I spend far too much time doing these. Actually, that should be done in half the time, so I need to put myself in a different environment to get that done. So hopefully that gives you a bit of an insight or a bit of a top tip on how to start logging your productivity and change your environment or your workspace to allow that productivity to increase. What we need to be mindful of is that every task we do isn't going to be done as well as it could in the same environment. So it's about tweaking, understanding, and then you can plan your day and your week for chunking together all of the tasks that work well in a similar environment. So that's time logging against productivity to monitor and see how productive you are, and using that to influence the workspace that you are. So not just going to a workplace because we feel that we have to, but finding out the workspace that you are most productive in. Get yourself in that environment and get yourself moving forward with your goals, your results, and your task completion in a much more efficient and effective way. So that's all from me this morning. That is day 1 of this week's 5-day series. I hope that's of use, and I shall see you tomorrow morning. Bye for now.